listening to the Careers BU podcast, a podcast aimed at Bournemouth University students and graduates. Each episode, we talk to employers, alumni and professionals all about their career journey, what employers are looking for, and help you explore the opportunities that are available to you. Hello and welcome to the Careers BU podcast. I'm your host Amanda Fripp, Careers Consultant at Bournemouth University. In today's episode, I chat to BU student Laura Hopwood. Laura has just returned to her final year of her Business and Management degree after completing a one-year placement with Enterprise Mobility. In this episode, Laura talks about her fantastic experiences she's gained whilst on placement, the skills she has developed, and why she feels all students should try and take a placement year. Hi Laura, welcome to the episode. Can you just introduce yourself and, a little bit about your background and what you're studying at the moment?
Yeah, of course I can. So my name's Laura. I study business management at Bournemouth University. I have been on my placement year with Enterprise Mobility this year, and I'm coming back to Bournemouth Uni in September to do my final year.
Excellent. So when does your placement finish?
In 10 days.
In 10 days? Oh, wow. So quite soon.
A week Friday.
Cool. So the reason I got you onto the episode is to talk about your placement experience and really to give a bit of an understanding to students about, what you did on your placement, how you found it, what you got it, what you achieved on your placement. So let's just kind of go back to the beginning then. Is your placement compulsory as part of your course, or was this an optional placement?
No. So my course works that you can do just the 3 years and not do a placement, or you can do a placement year. It's not mandatory at all.
Okay.
It was just one of those things that I was like, well, if I can get one, I'll do it, sort of thing. That they encourage you to do it because it's an invaluable experience, but it's not mandatory.
Cool. So what motivated you to do a placement as part of the course?
I suppose I come from like a family that has always been very, very hardworking. So I was working from sort of the age of 16, 17, doing the jobs that everyone does. And when I came to uni, I was like, okay, if I can get a placement where I can actually get real world experience of the course that I'm doing. So you do a lot of theories in your course, but actually seeing them go into practice, I was like, that will help me to understand it better because I'm quite a practical learner anyway. So I was like, if I'm able to find myself in a position where I'm being able to apply the stuff I've learned at uni, plus get real world experience of being in the workplace and building a career, quote unquote, for myself, then I think that when I graduate, I will be in a lot better position to start a working life because I know what I'm signing up for. It's not like you're going into it completely blind. You've already had an experience of it. And I was really lucky with my placement anyway because I've got my graduate job out of it. But even if I hadn't, I would have had so much more to put on my CV to then find a graduate job if I hadn't already been offered one. So it just gives you so much real world experience to put on your CV, and I think that's invaluable.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations for being offered the graduate job. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So for anyone who doesn't know what Enterprise Mobility is as an organisation, what do they do?
So I think everyone knows of Enterprise as Enterprise Rent a Car. You go, you rent a car, you bring it back. That's what I think face value people think of it as. It's really a lot more than that. Enterprise is the leading mobility solutions provider in the world. It's been owned by the same family the whole time it's been around. So Jack Taylor founded it, and now Chrissy Taylor is now our CEO. And she started from where I started, which is quite nice. So she was a management trainee, and now she's CEO of the company. But Enterprise, we rent cars, but we own a couple of other companies as well. We do long-term hires for businesses only, so like contract hires. We have a car club that people can, like when you go into like Deliveroo and you go and just order something and it arrives, you just go to a car and you unlock it and you go. It's like that. So we have one of them. And then, I mean, we do stuff with like insurance companies, corporate accounts, retail customers. Like you get an insight into so many different areas of the business. It's quite cool, really. Every person in enterprise has been a management trainee or an intern. So it's a promote from within culture, which is really, really nice. So I'm going back in a year as a management assistant, then I can get promoted to an assistant manager and up from there, because they're not just hiring someone from off the street to go into a management role. Everyone has been where they've been.
That's really interesting. So what attracted you to apply to that placement in the first place? Did you like kind of the idea of what it offered you or the type of work it was?
At the beginning, it was, I need a placement. I think every student did the same thing as me and applied to pretty much anything they could do, because getting a placement is really difficult. It can be difficult depending, because some places only have limited sort of amounts of people they can take on, and there's obviously so many universities in the country. At the beginning, that's what it was. But then when I looked at, okay, I'm applying for a placement, cool. Oh, wait, I could get my career from this. It's not just to tick a box. I sort of read into people's experiences before, and through the internship or the management training scheme, enterprise basically is training you to become one of the next leaders in the business. You're being trained up to be a future leader. So I suppose it was that really appealed to me, because I was speaking to people and they were like, yeah, you see it as initially just ticking a box to get a job, but you realize you can actually get a career from it. And I'm now in a position where I didn't expect to be when I first got my placement with enterprise, is I have potentially a career for life with this company. The possibilities are entirely endless, and I think it was that made me say, yes, I'm going to do my placement with enterprise, is because you could be whoever you wanted to be with this company. It didn't limit you to a little box or a category of who you had to be. If I decided I didn't want to work in daily rental anymore, I don't have to leave the company. I can go and sidestep into the talent development side of the company, or into the fleet strategy side of the company. I don't have to leave the company if that area of the business doesn't work for me anymore. And I think that's part of the reason that I was like, you know what, by doing this, I potentially will have set myself up for a very, very long time. And a year on, I can say that is the case, because I have set myself up for a career with this company. And I think that's what it is enterprise offers you a career. They don't just offer you a tick box, you're going to do a placement and then you go and get another job. It offers you a career, which is really, really nice.
And I guess it was quite good when you first started looking for placements. You said you were kind of just looking for anything. You're quite open-minded, because you wanted to get a placement, and you then applied for them. So you weren't like, oh, I'm only going to apply for this type of job or that type of job. You were like, actually, let's have a look and let's be open-minded. Let's see what there is around.
If I'm going to be entirely honest, growing up, I was not a car person. I was not anything like that. And I never expected myself to be in a career where technically I'm working with cars every single day of my life. I'm now a car person. It's quite funny. But it's weird to think how much on face value, it's a company that rents cars, right? But how much a company that quote unquote rents cars can actually offer you. You're not just giving someone a car, you're doing so much more than that. And I think it was that was like, yeah, you know what, this is where I'm meant to be.
And that's good, keeping that open-mindedness about those types of roles as well. So excellent. Okay, so can you tell me, you spent pretty much a year there now, so what types of what do you do? What's your job title? What has your job title been?
It started as a rental management intern. Now it is a rental management assistant intern.
Okay. So as an intern, what have you been getting involved in this last year?
Everything, pretty much, left, right, and centre. I've gone from the very basics, renting a car to someone that walks into off the street and wants to rent a car. I've had meetings with quite large companies, discussing a corporate account with them, opening car club, talking about contract hire. I have done careers fairs. I did one at Bournemouth Uni earlier this year with Paul. I have mentored new starters. I have run the branch of 250 cars. Where you basically decide who gets what car and plan all the logistics and everything. I've done that 7 times. It's crazy, honestly. I've met some very, very influential people within the company. I participated in the Enterprise Intern of the Year
which we're going to
program.
be talking about that.
Yeah. We won't disclose what happened there just yet. So I participated in that, which basically was, yes, you had to create the PowerPoint and everything and do these presentations to people very high up in the business, but also there was a lot of Teams events, which was like events with every intern in the UK had to be on these Teams calls, and it was like networking. It was looking at the pathways you could take within the business, creating your personal brand and stuff like that. So it was how to make the best of yourself, really. What else have I done? Oh god, there's everything. I've literally done anything this company has offered. I think I've done it. I've done it. I think I've pretty much done everything that I possibly can do. Well, can do as an intern. There's a lot more that I can do when I come back. But I think you begin just with the car rental side of things. You just learn what you need to do in order to write a contract for a retail customer or an insurance customer or a corporate customer. It's all different, as you can imagine. Learn all of that, learn how to make sure the cars are safe and everything like that. But then it builds onto that. So in the next week or so, before I finish my placement, I'm taking some of the new interns to my corporate accounts with me and sort of passing the baton to them and stuff like that. So it's I've done, I think, everything. That the stuff I've named is just a few of the things that I've done this year. I think if I was to write a list, it'd be about 30 bullet points long.
And what skills do you feel you've developed through this last year? Whether soft skills or hard skills, what skills do you feel like you've been developing?
My time management is a lot better than it was at uni, because I've had to wake up at 6:30 in the morning and plan like what I'm taking for lunch and stuff like that before, so I can just go. I've organization, because obviously you can't run a branch of 250 cars without being organized. So organization was a really, really big one for me. I was quite good at presentations, if I'm being honest, before I came to Enterprise, but going through the Intern of the Year program made my presentation skills significantly better. My confidence in terms of customer facing, I'm quite a confident person anyway, but customer facing, like building a rapport with someone you've never met before, is not the easiest thing to do. But I've learned how to do that, and now it comes more naturally to me. I suppose I'm a lot better with computers now as well, because you use a lot of different computer software in this position. I'm a lot more computer literate now, which I just would use my MacBook before and I'd know how to use that. But now I can sort of use a bit of everything, which is quite cool. And I don't know how you describe it as a skill, but I've learned to have some really difficult conversations. Like when a customer damages a vehicle, you have to have quite a tough conversation with them. And the first time you have that conversation, it can be quite daunting. I've had that conversation quite a lot of times now, and I've learned how to have that conversation, how to deal with quite difficult topics, something that can be quite sensitive. So that sort of links like empathy and stuff like that. Sometimes you have people that aren't able to pay for the excess on the vehicle initially and stuff like that. And that is a really difficult conversation you have to have. But I think that is the thing that I always struggled with, really difficult conversations and criticism and stuff like that before I started this. And now if someone criticizes me, I don't cry anymore. I just take it and I'm like, okay, so how do I do better next time? That's just like 5 or 6. If you think about each individual thing I've done, there's like a skill associated with that, but pretty much that you learn and develop.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you feel that will benefit you going back into your last year of uni? What do you feel like you're going to be bringing back with you, and how do you feel like that's going to benefit you?
I think it will make me work on a schedule. I would just do like uni work when I felt like it. Whereas now I will work on a schedule probably. I'll be like, okay, between 9 and 4, let's say, for example, that's uni work time. Uni work does not happen outside of those times. So getting that work-life balance a bit better, because I've had to do that this year working full time, find a work-life balance. And I think that's something I'll keep for sure. I think as well, having a greater knowledge of like a specific industry, but also the working world will really, really help when it comes to dissertations and stuff like that. I can have real world application. I have people I can actually go to and speak to for research, stuff like that. I have contacts in some really, really good places now, and I know that I have people in this company that will always look out for me. So when it comes to like dissertation and stuff, I have people I can ask for help when I'm talking about stuff like that, which I think stands me in a really good position.
So you've really built up your network while you're in your placement, haven't you? So tell me a little bit more about Intern of the Year, because that's one of your biggest achievements, and you won it. So tell me a little bit about that process.
So there's about 400 interns in the UK each year, give or take, for enterprise. So every intern in the UK has to take part in this competition, and you basically have to show your sort of what you've done throughout the year, your social media engagement with enterprise, and sort of publicizing enterprise through your social media. You've had to talk about diversity, inclusion, equity, and philanthropy. And you have to come up with a business improvement idea. And it all has to be in about a 10-minute long presentation. Plus, you have to sort of just have been consistent throughout the year anyway. Because initially, you go through rounds, right? So your area manager judges first. If you pass that, you go to your group rental manager, and then you go to your like head of your area. So like Southwest, well, mine was head of the Southwest. And then you go to the UK final, which is at our European head office in Egham. And you present to a panel of 5 very influential people within the company. I had the head of HR for the UK. I had some people from the corporate side of the business, someone from talent development, and then VP of rental as well. And you present to them in person, which is terrifying. And it's a whole day thing. And you sort of sit and wait. You take your area manager with you. You take a representative from the uni. So I took Matt Farr with me. And we made a whole thing of it. We went out for dinner. That's when I got my job offer, was when we were out for dinner. That's when Beth, my lovely area manager, Beth. I cannot hype her up enough. Sat me down and was like, you have an unconditional offer when you graduate, right? I was like, oh, okay, that's great. And that came in writing 2 days ago. But so that's so exciting. And you sort of do your presentations. There's 7 of you. So you've got Scotland and Ireland, that's one. You've got Southwest, Southeast, Northeast, Northwest. And then you have someone from the European head office, and you have someone from the Aldershot office. So that's 7 of us. And you sit and you watch all of these presentations thinking, oh my God, these people are really, really good. And then they do they go, oh, and in 3rd place because of they took an hour to decide. So we were all just sat there for an hour. It was horrible waiting. Luckily, we had like representatives from Rate My Placement there and stuff. So we had to do social media and stuff for them, which kind of killed some of the time. And you just got to speak to some really cool people. But it worked out for me in the end because I won the thing. So I'm all right with that wait now. I'm not mad at that wait. I'm okay with it. It was no small feat, and I did cry when I won. if I can't lie, which shows how much you put into stuff like this. And yeah, and I wanted to do well for everyone who sort of mentored me. And I think I did them proud. So yeah, yeah. And I got a nice little trophy, nice little crown, and yeah, nice little prize money. So that was good.
Amazing. That's brilliant. And obviously now you're going to be going back after your final year to work for them as well. One thing that some students tend to be quite worried about when they take a placement year is that they might be doing a part-time job before they go to on their placement, and then they're going to have to stop that part-time job, and will they get a job when they come back in their final year? So are you going to be in your final year when you come back to uni, are you going to be doing any work with enterprise mobility?
Yes, I am. So there's a couple of options when it comes to part-time work with enterprise after placement. To do these, obviously, you have to have done the internship with enterprise because you're representing the business, basically. So you can do part-time work in the branches local. So we had a couple of people this year who went to Bournemouth, who go to Bournemouth Uni and came into our branch 2 or 3 days a week and just did some work for us, so rented and did all of that. That's like a minimum of 9 hours a week, so basically you only have to do 1 day a week if your schedule only allows you to do that, and it depends on the needs of the area. We had quite a few in our area, sort of uni people, but or well, not or because you can do both. You'll be a campus brand manager, which is about 4 to 8 hours a week, which is sort of representing enterprise on campus. So that's doing social media, doing presentations, having meetings with academics, planning events, careers fairs, etc., etc. And you get paid hourly for that with bonuses. So they recommend about 4 to 8 hours a week, but that's a lot more flexible around your uni schedule. So if you have exams 1 week, you may only be able to do 4 hours, but then there may be a week that's really quiet, so then you can do 8. So next year, I'm doing campus brand manager next year. I got that. Yeah, that was offered to me last week. So me and someone I actually worked very closely with in first year on our accounting unit, me and her will be campus brand managers for Bournemouth University starting in September of this year, which I'm really, really excited about because eventually I make talent development and talent acquisition is an area of the business that I'm really, really interested in. And it gives me more of an insight into that if I wanted to sidestep from daily rental at any point to see if that's something I'd want to do. So you can do as much or as little as you like with it. You can do part-time work and CBM, or you can do just part-time work, or you can do just CBM, or you don't if you don't need a part-time job or something like that, you don't have to. But I think enterprise offers you that opportunity to keep one foot in the door with them and make an impact still in the business while you're at uni. And it allows you, because uni life isn't cheap, it allows you to have a source of income from a company that you have worked very closely with for 12 months. You don't just ditch it for a year. You're still there, you're still part of it, and it keeps you feeling included in everything, which is really, really nice. So I can't lie, I'm very excited because I love stuff like this. So if anyone wants to ask about enterprise, I will be on campus in my green hoodie, so come find me.
Yeah, brilliant. And I guess, like you said, it keeps your foot in the door with the company. It also means, I guess, when you're finishing your placement year, you're not thinking, oh, I've got to find a job when I get back. I've got to get into my final year. I've got to now find a job again, part-time job. It's all set up for you. It's just a nice, smooth transition back.
Exactly. It's so easy. It's such an easy transition. You get a phone call from HR like 3 months before you're going to leave, before your placement leaves, going, what would you like to do? That's provided you've been performing and stuff like that. If you're performing well for the company, they're going to want to keep you because they see you as a future leader within the business. So as long as you perform well throughout your internship, they will offer you opportunities to help you when you're back at uni.
That's brilliant. That's really great. Just kind of going back, I know we've talked kind of a bit about your year that's kind of happened. In terms of when you applied, was there anything you feel like benefited you when you went through that application process? Or how did you find that application process initially, right? Kind of going back.
Oh God. Okay, so you start with an application form. So application form was fine because you put in, it's a very easy application form. The most invaluable bit of advice I was ever given before I did an interview was ask the interviewer about themselves. So I went through two interviews. You do an online one and then an in-person one. So my first interview was with someone called Zoe, and she went to me at the end of the interview, do you have any questions? And I went, what is your favorite part of your job? So that gives you, as the interviewee, an insight into the business a little bit more. And then when I went with my area manager, with Beth, same thing. I asked her the same question. And it allowed me to build a rapport with her, which made me feel more comfortable. Because I think when you're nervous, you're so conscious of ticking boxes and saying the right thing. But when I gave those people the opportunity to sort of open up and talk about their careers with the company, I was able to sort of relate to them on some level or connect with them more deeper on some level, which then makes you more comfortable in an interview and makes you able to actually show what you can do for the company. I think that was the best bit of advice I was ever given in one of my earliest jobs, was ask the interviewer about themselves.
That's great. That's a really great question to ask. And, you know, it gives you a bit of insight into the organisation and their experiences, and which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So when you go back to enterprise mobility as a graduate, can you remind me what your role will be?
You do like a couple of little like test things throughout your year, and then you do something called your management qualification interview, which tests everything you've learned. If you pass that, you become a management assistant basically, and then you can go for promotions after that. Just for context of what a management assistant actually is, because otherwise it's just a word that makes no sense to people.
What do you think you might be doing next then?
So there is a plan now in my little head that changes. Timescales change sometimes, but it's my area manager was a summer intern when she started in the company about 8 years ago, and she's now area manager of 4 branches. So I said in the intern of the year final, I'm coming for Beth's job. That's what I said. If I'm being more realistic, my plan is to return to enterprise and give myself a couple of months to refamiliarize myself with the business, because I won't have been doing part-time work. So if any of the sort of technologies changed, any of the protection packages have changed, any of the car classes, anything like that, just refamiliarize myself with the business first off. But then with my aim is to have secured my first assistant management promotion by the end of 2025. So I would go back to enterprise July or August next year, and my aim is to have gone for my first promotion as an assistant manager of an enterprise branch by December 2025 or early January 2026. That is the goal right now.
Yeah, love it. So you've got a bit of a goal. That's really great. But you did say you've got an interest in talent acquisition, possibly. So there's opportunities to move around.
Down the line, yeah. Day rental is very, very fast paced. So as I go through my life, my circumstances may change and daily rental may not work for me anymore. So then I would be right now interested in moving into talent acquisition or talent development or something surrounding the people in our business, because my business improvement idea for intern of the year was to do with the people in our business. It's something that I'm very passionate about, is the people and people's development and stuff like that. That's why I really like mentoring the new starters and stuff like that. It's something I really enjoy doing. So I can see myself at some point in my enterprise career potentially delving into that area of the business for sure.
Excellent. So I love the fact that you've got some goals, you're looking ahead, but you're also kind of going,
I feel very grown up.
It is very grown up. And, but you're also kind of going, but things might happen. I've got other opportunities to move around, and you've got those opportunities there. That's brilliant.
I think I've had to be in my life. I've had to learn that things can change like that. So I've got to be open to things changing. But what I love about enterprise mobility is if that happens, you don't have to leave. There's always somewhere for you, which is a thing that I don't know if a lot of companies offer, but I'm glad I found a company that does.
Well, on that note, I think that summarizes your experience brilliantly and your opportunity. So thank you so much for coming on and talking about your experience today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening today. Please remember to subscribe and follow so you can keep up to date with all new episodes.